Now, apart from that, you're also a certified lead implementer, professional CLIP, right? CLIP for BS 1012 2017. That's the PIMS Personal Information Management System, including GDPR. That's the General Data Protection Regulation. Now, what enticed you to get these license, and how has it helped you?
So the origin of this idea obviously is my organization, the kind of work we do. Uh, as you earlier introduced me, I work for a company called as Hansa Customer Equity Private Limited,
Right.
and we are a data-driven MarTech company.
Right.
And we deal with data, all types of data, and we have access to a lot of personal information of customers.
Right.
So that's the nature of our job. So about 3-4 years back, it was my earlier CEO who had a vision that, you know what, we need to be the leader in the market, not only in the domain or kind of work we do, which is MarTech.
Right.
We also need to prove to the clients that they can, have a peaceful sleep at night by entrusting their data with us, and we will ensure that it is protected. Now, how do you ensure? Like, you can't just say it; you need to prove it by action.
True.
So that's when he approached me one day and said, "Ajit, let's go for some certifications and see how we get along."
Right.
The kind of industry I'm in, the amount of data that we deal with, it is not a very happy thought that I'm going to restrict access to data, because that is how creativity and customer experience, personalization, customization can be done.
True.
So it was contrary to what was needed to succeed in that domain. But then, and that's when around the time when data privacy started getting, started kicking in, GDPR, suddenly became the talk of the town, and people started sweating over it, and there's a lot of ambiguity around what it is, how to do. Nobody in India has heard the word privacy. While in Europe and other countries, US and all, privacy was always an aspect. HIPAA and other guidelines were there for a long time. So how do we, so we said, let's take baby steps. Let's take one certification at a time. And I was interested to get it for my organization, for my primary organization, and we said we will take our subsidiaries subsequently in subsequent years. Since then, every year until date, we have taken a fresh certification every year for either my core primary organization or my subsidiary. So we started with ISMS, which is ISO 27001, which is the mother certificate.
Right.
And that was a big learning for us. We had to change our mindset of how we protect data.
Okay.
We then said, okay, now that we have got ISMS, let's not, why not move to, QMS, quality for our call centers.
Right.
So that we improve our quality. And then it was again a cycle. We came back to our parent company and said, okay, this year, what do we do next? Okay, let's go for PIMS. Because you can only do PIMS if you are ISMS certified. There's a prerequisite. So since we were happy to pick it up, and one of the few, possibly the only MarTech company in India that also has a PIMS certificate. And we are GDPR ready. So we are already servicing multinationals where we have signed up for GDPR, and we are complying to that.
So what you're also saying is that not only your business is ready, but it's also future ready.
It's future ready. And the last 1 year, ever since COVID happened, all the contracts that we have signed, including the renewals, there's one thing that is consistent. All these Indian MNCs or multinationals that we are working with, very large brands, have started incorporating data privacy security clauses in the contract, which was never there all these decades.
And it wasn't even a point to consider. I mean,
never. It was always, here is a scope, will you meet it? And here is a cost, agree on the cost, agree on the scope, and that's it. Just get it out one way or the other. I just need the scope to be met. So now the scope has to be met within the boundaries of data privacy and security. So the good thing is, because we are already there for the last few years, we have already matured to a degree. Today, when I go and I'm like proposing, like giving a proposal to a client,
Right.
and they say, oh, you know what, by the way, will you be able to secure my data? And I say, I'm PIMS, I'm this and that. 60-70% of the questions are already answered, and we just are asked to put it in writing. We give it, we show our certificate, that's it. So that's the easiest part for us to close, which is always the toughest part, because unless you have the InfoSec clearance from the organization,
Right.
the business will not be able to sign the contract. So we are hardly troubled from that area.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a smart move. True. Now, you're also a certified CISO, right? So how's the experience of going through the hardcore, I know it's a 5-day hardcore training. How was that experience of that course?
So, as I said, it's very important that one looks to get deep into the area that one is working. So if I'm going to be working as a CISO, if I'm going to be working as a chief privacy or a data protection officer, I need to know the subject in and out, right? Because I need to always be mindful that the people I'm going to be interacting are all stalwarts in that domain. They are lawyers. So of late, the last 6-8 months, I've been only talking to lawyers. Because it's always the legal counsel or the legal team that handles data privacy related sections. So when you're talking to these experts, they already have mastered the game. They know how to talk, what is the legal language, and what different regulations ask for. So it was a conscious thought where I approached my CEO, to whom I report, and I said, sir, I would like to undergo this course because I would like to learn and course correct any misunderstandings that I may have. So that's when I picked up this. I spent full 5 days going back to a classroom after close to 15 years. It was a little tough initially because you get restless. You're not used to sitting so many hours,
and focusing
8 hours a day, and then giving an exam and stuff. So I did that, and the same thing after that. I again said, now I would like to get certified in the data privacy world. So therefore, I have a legal status. I am trained. I know what I'm speaking, and it just opens up. And trust me, what I've learned in those sessions is like mind-boggling. More importantly, I made so many friends there whom I bounce off today with various queries and ideas. So if I have a challenge or if I need to take a second, third opinion, all I do is just WhatsApp one of them, and one of them would have an answer, or they would guide me to another entity or a person who would be able to give me a proper advice as to what is right or wrong. So it just has opened up, and I do the same. They also approach me, and so it's a give and take relationship.
Well, I mean, one thing clearly highlights and stands out in your career is that apart from your working experience, what you also consistently focused on is upgrading yourself with knowledge. Always on the lookout, and I think that's a very good aspect for people to incorporate in their own lives, because like you said, you can't become irrelevant. You have to be relevant throughout.
Absolutely.
So this quality
ahead of the curve.
Ahead of the curve, very rightly put. Now, talking about mentors, did you have any mentors in your career, or and how have they contributed towards?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't think any of us can do without a mentor. So I can distinctly remember 2 or 3 names. My first boss in my first organization, I think he kind of shaped my thinking. He was if I may use the word workaholic in a positive way, he used to really work very hard. Being the CEO of the company, he used to personally sit and develop the product that I was asked to go and install. So it was a pharmaceutical, it was a product for pharmaceutical companies. It was like a Tally equivalent, where these companies could put everything there and invoicing and stuff. And I was asked to go and do troubleshooting and fixes, and while he would keep upgrading it. So I just saw how he used to work maybe 15, 16, 20 hours a day non-stop. There was no Saturday, there was no Sunday. And I also used to sit with him. So I never followed any holiday calendar unless I was really needing it. So that kind of tuned my body or my mindset towards stretching hard and getting deep into things.
True.
Another mentor is, while in US, I had a great manager who would always tell me very frequently, Ajit, success is all yours, failure is mine. Just go ahead and do it.
Wow.
Being in an alien country, working with unknown people, culture difference, everything is different, how you work abroad versus here, the thought process, thinking. And he would just say, just go for it. And he would handhold me wherever, or he would give me those tips.
Yes.
Do it this way, that way. But then in the end, it takes time for one to change, because we are so used to doing things in a particular way. And so he used to encourage me a lot.
True.
The third is my, CEO of this current organization. Of course, he's no longer the CEO, but I learned immensely from him. The beauty of Mr. Swami was that while he would always say that, you're not doing it right, but he would actually show you how to do it right.
Practice what you preach.
And I remember a case where we had it's still a client, a very, very large household name, and they had some major challenges with their email domains, which had got messed up, and they could not send a single email campaign for close to 8-9 months. A very large corporate entity, MNC entity, very badly damaged domain reputation, and they were all like tensed up, up to the CMO and CEO, everyone calling my CEO and saying, please do something. It's been now 6 months, 8 months, and 3 months we're not able to do something. And how do we come out of it? And it's a very time-consuming process to get domains back onto track. And I remember my ex-CEO, he's spending like one day, I think maybe 2 days, he got up early in the morning, looked up all his emails. How does an Amex and a Citi send emails, transaction versus promotional? Noted down all the examples, and one fine day sent us a 3-page document saying, these are the various options you should look at. Now replicate this for this client.
Yes.
I get my statement using this domain, this subdomain. So he kind of did the complete study and said, if they could do it, why can't we? So that was something for a, kind of a learning for me. More, it's less to do with the subject. It was more about how a leader should lead.
Well, that was Ajit sharing about his professional journey and so many learnings throughout his career. So I, of course, did get to learn a lot. Success is all yours, failure is mine is something that I'm going to stick by. And Ajit, thank you so much for sharing your insights in this section of our interview.
My pleasure.